Hi everyone, welcome to the second video of introducing the OpenStudio application. My name is Leila Nichtel and I'm with VIC, a nonprofit organization which is also part of the OpenStudio coalition. In this video, I'm going to introduce the OpenStudio application interface to understand its layout and main components. So let's go ahead and open the application. When OpenStudio starts, it opens a blank or empty project. You'll see a ribbon on the left with different tabs and a menu bar at the top. Go to File to start a new project or to open an existing OpenStudio file. You can also import or export other file formats like IDF or NG+ file. For this video, we are going to use this example model included with OpenStudio. This is the example model loaded here. I'm going to go ahead and save this file on my desktop. Here is the OpenStudio file or OSM file we just saved. Once you save the energy model, OpenStudio creates a folder with the same name as your OSM file. This folder stores weather files, OpenStudio measures, and other associated files. There's another feature under File, Revert to Saved, which is very helpful for undoing all changes and going back to the last saved version. Under Preferences, you can set unit or language. You can also change the OpenStudio measures directory, and we will cover how to find and apply components and measures in our other videos. The left ribbon contains tabs to create and modify the energy model. The first tab is Site, to assign a weather file and design days, which you can find in Energy Plus website. The next one is Schedules, to define and modify all schedules in the building, for example, occupancy schedule, lighting, HVAC system set points, etc. And Constructions tab defines construction sets for walls, roofs, and floors. You can also specify different materials, specifications, and construction layers for each construction. In Loads tab, we define any internal loads in the building, such as lighting, electric equipment loads, or occupancy loads. Space types. In this tab, we define different space types for the building and assign construction sets, schedules, or internal loads to each space type. And a space type is basically a template that defines common characteristics such as lighting, plug loads for multiple spaces with the same function. For example, if you have 5 classrooms in a school building, instead of setting lighting and occupancy for each one separately, you can create one space type called classroom and assign it to all spaces. This saves time and keeps everything consistent between spaces with the same function. To create or edit building geometry, go to the Geometry Editor tab, Facility tab, the next one. In this tab, we set building properties like orientation, floor-to-floor height, or exterior equipment. Spaces tab lists all spaces in the building. This example model has 4 spaces, and in OpenStudio, a space represents a physical area in a building, like classroom, office, or hallway. Thermal zones. In this tab, we add thermal zones and assign HVAC equipment and control settings to each thermal zone. And a thermal zone is a group of one or more spaces that share the same HVAC system, controls, and thermostat settings. For example, if each classroom has a separate HVAC system, each will have its own thermal zone. If multiple classrooms share an HVAC unit, they can be grouped into one thermal zone. And in large buildings, zones can be divided or organized into core and perimeter zones to optimize heating and cooling calculations. HVAC systems tab. This tab is where we add HVAC system or refrigeration systems, service hot water, or VRF systems. The next tab is output variables. You can basically select any output variables here and specify the time step. The next one is simulation settings. To set any parameters in the simulation settings or control like run period, time steps. The next tab is the measures tab. Sometimes it takes time to load this tab. It depends on how many measures you add in your measures directory. But here in this tab, you can add OpenStudio measures, Energy Plus measures, and reporting measures. And we will cover how measures in this tab are different from apply measures now in our other videos. Once the energy model is completed, you can run the simulation in this tab. And once the simulation is completed successfully, Reports tab displays results for different reports selected by the user. We will go over running the simulation and reviewing results reports in our next videos. Thank you so much for watching.